Hello and welcome to my devlog. My name is Jarmo, aka Hero Crab, and in this episode I will provide progress update on my project and how I implemented a minimap with Flax Engine. The talking points for this video will be 1. Quick progress update, 2. Minimap functionality, and 3. Minimap implementation. Without further ado, I'll get started. Okay, so what I have here are 3 instances of Flax Editor running. In this first instance on the far left, I'm in a catalog scene. This is for my catalog server. In the second instance here, I'm in the server scene for my game server. And in the third scene here, I'm in my instance for the client. Initially, I was working with everything through the IDE and running console windows because I can run all of these in headless mode and just using the console. But then I thought how much fun it would be to actually see the actors being spawned inside the scene. So I transitioned to this approach and it's been quite entertaining. So I'll go ahead and get started here. This is my progress update. I will fire up the catalog server and then I will fire up the game server. Now immediately the game server connects to the catalog server. It registers itself. So there is a registration actor here, as well as an advertisement. This is all created through my plugin, which I detailed in the previous video. The game server here, after it registers with the catalog server, loads the map, which you can see here. The cool thing about this is, sure, I can publish the game in a headless mode, I can test the game in a headless mode, but with a mode that has a visual representation of the game level, I can see everything happening on the server. This will help me when synchronizing game state between server and client, and then further when I get into things like client-side prediction, etc. Here you can see the registration spawner has spawned a registration actor. This is the actor that's used to write the registration on the catalog server here. And then something that you didn't see right there because it flashed so quickly was a version check. Everything is checking the version on the other side. I'll go ahead and fire up my client here. And you can see a number of things happening. From the catalog server, we received the advertisement. And then when this advertisement equates essentially to this UI control here, which propagates this select a server panel. If I join the game, it will go through a loading transition. There were a couple things that probably flashed on the screen here, which was loading of all the assets. And then you can see the map here. This is the same map loaded that's running on the server, which brings me to point number 2. Which is the Minimap functionality. So Minimap functionality. I chose to implement, actually let me just go ahead and demonstrate it here for you. I'll go ahead and expand this window. Okay, so this is my simple test map. The functionality is you get WASD. You can scroll around the map. It's pretty smooth. In this case, I'm running, looks like, at VSync rates. When I compile the game, it runs without VSync. I'm not running the editor with a no VSync flag, so it's running at VSync. And then you can also click and drag the minimap and scroll around the minimap. So that's the functionality that I'm demoing in this video. I'll go ahead and talk about how I did it. Let me go ahead and just stop everything. Okay, so there were a couple different strategies I had. In previous engines, I did the same exercise with Stride before, and I used essentially screen space or pixels, and then just basically clicking mouse down on a certain area of the screen and then translating that to world space and moving the minimap around. I actually found it to be a little bit easier with Flax after I got into it, and that was because I was able to extend the image control. So the minimap is essentially an image. I will go back to that real quick. So in the scene here, there is another camera. We have the player camera and the player camera arm and etc. A bunch of stuff here, post effects volume. But then there is also a map camera right here. The map camera is in the scene directly above the map. It is an orthographic camera. It's not using perspective, and it basically takes the screen capture, or the back buffer from the camera, and renders it to a render texture, which is not an actual asset with Flex. So that render texture is set on the Minimap UI control as the image. So here's my map class, and I'll kind of show the script here in a minute. But here's the map camera cache reference, and then there is a Minimap UI control cache reference. The Minimap UI control is located here, and it is off this Minimap panel. Now it's disabled. It's showing up over here for some reason. It's actually over here, possibly when it's enabled. Okay, so you can see that the panel, which is disabled, is anchored to the top right of the screen, so it's just showing where it is currently. But there is a brush type of GPU texture. This information is all available in the Flax documentation. There's an actual tutorial on using render textures, and that's where I got most of this information. And then the map has a couple of properties here. The jump distance, which is when the camera should move, essentially, when it should teleport or relocate itself directly versus just kind of like scrolling with the mouse movement. And then there's map size, then there's the player camera, and there's a smoothing value here. But inside the script, I've just extended the image control class and took advantage of an on mouse down functionality. So I basically capture the location, I run it through a smoothing averaging buffer essentially, and then set the camera position to a translated value, which translates local screen space for the image to world space for the camera. And that is basically it. On mouse up, obviously using map becomes false, and I've reset the smoothing buffer, etc. So that is my progress update for this video. If you happen to be implementing a Minimap in your game, feel free to contact me and I'll share with you how I did it. And that is all I've got, so thank you for watching.